Hello world, welcome to part 16 of creating the podcast monitor app. Last time we were running the functional tests and we passed a few of them. We have a few left, mainly to parse the episodes. So if we run the tests here, we see that we're still failing the partial episode info and the full parse. Now if we leverage the same sort of thing that we're doing here for those, we should probably get both to pass simultaneously. And we can close out this one. So it's basically these two tests where we just need to grab this is partial episode info. Grab all this information. Now this looks like it's actually the full information for the episode, just one episode, and this is multiple, so we're going to update this. So let's get started, and we'll remove the description, the pub date, and the length. So it just has a title and the MP3, and this has all this information for the episodes. Cool. All right, so now basically what we need to do is, if you look at the prototype code here, right, we're using all this same stuff. For the episodes, you want this find all, and it's the channel item. So that's literally what we're going to kind of do here. So after getting all this information from just the main channel information, we're going to want to grab the episode information. So for that one, we're basically going to come here and find all, and this will be a list of, I guess the type of this is going to be the same type. It's still these elements tree. So we'll say episode elements. And here we're using self.tree, and it's this find all. Right, and so then from there, we basically want this information. And so let's just come over here, we'll clean this up. So, and then come through, get rid of everything else, and we don't need this line. Okay, so this here is all the keys that we need, and right, basically here in the prototype, so the episode is another one of these attributes in the enclosure. And then the rest are just the find text. So it mirrors very similarly to what we've already been doing. Right, so as you'll see in the data here. So now we're looking at each item. So when we loop through, we're looking at the item. We have the title, description, pub date, the iTunes duration, and then an enclosure, and the enclosure has a URL. So I'm going to copy this as well, since this is basically what we want to do. Come down here, and let's clean this up real quick. Get rid of that. Okay. So now the question basically becomes, so here we were using tree directly. So we kind of have, well, if we want to go through, what we really should do is really abstract out the tree from this. And have it so that we can basically pass in an element here. So let's actually do that. So I'm going to move all this over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment all this out for now. All right, so So first things first, let's come in and let's start committing a few things. So let's add the unit test. And if we look at the diff of this, it's just we deleted some information for the parser one. So we'll just git commit -m updated partial episode ft by removing some episode info. Okay, so then the other thing we have, so the only other thing we have is all this commented stuff that we added. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to stage this. I'm going to go to git stage. I guess git add and then git stage. Oh, what was it? It's not stage, it's stash. Cool. All right, so now we have a clean tree. All right, if I go git status, and clean up here, git log. Right, we have that new commit in. So now, by stashing it away, I can just bring it right back once we're done. But now that we know kind of what we want to do, we're going to update this and make sure that all the tests basically still pass as they are. So we'll come back up here. That didn't do anything anyway. We're going to come back up here. This one. That's what I want. All right, so we have 2 failures. So we ran 5 tests. We have 2 failures, which are the ones we're expecting. Somehow I heard that. Okay, so now, what do we need to do? We need to basically in here pass in the tree, right? So from string here returns an element. So I'm just going to put that in because I think if I don't, like let's say I get rid of this. So here, right, I want to pass in element. It's not going to know what that is. So I wonder if that'll then fail. Yeah, see, so it doesn't know. So if I want to use it like this, and do that, and then everything should still pass. No, we're going to, well, because I'm not passing it in, obviously. So now, here we're going to say, and is this the right order? I think I'm going to put this, since I'll be using tree path here, I'm actually going to do this, like that. And then put it in this order. So this will be like the key and then the tree. So in here, in all of these, so we're going to remove that space. We're going to come down and we're going to do this all simultaneously. So in here, we basically want to, so this is a tree, right? Is going to be self.tree. Now we should just have the, and I forgot. Self.tree and a comma, and now it should work. Right. So now we're still just getting those 2 failures again, and let's switch this over. So instead of using self.tree in these 2 places, we're just going to use tree. Now because it's not used through multiple functions, we could then move this parse, this from string in here, we could then move that into this if we wanted to. But I think it's fine up there. So now this, we should still get, so great, we still just get the 2 failures. And if we look at what we did, we just updated that and take a diff. And we see here that we have have the edit to the parameters, have the edit to where we're doing these calls, and then, well, it has it as a replace of this with this, but that's because we removed a line and we added this tree in here. So that all looks good. So we'll say git commit, and we'll do refactored RSS parser, add if value to accept element for parsing as param, or as arg. Okay, cool. So now we can come back and we can go git stash pop. And we'll see now we have, now it's with that change there, we want to accept, which one is it, the incoming? No, we want the current change. Cool. That's interesting. What is it? Self add if value. So that's weird. Hold on. I am just going to get. I'm just gonna copy that. I'm gonna paste it back in. I'm gonna go git checkout. Saying it's unmerged. Is there another resolve and merge editor? Complete merge. Sure. I don't really care. I'm just gonna cut it all out. Whatever. Git status. Okay, I guess that's fine then. I'm gonna git restore staged. Clean that up. That was annoying. Okay, so now we can pass in what we want here. So if we have this and we have the episode elements, right, and then we loop through them. So we say for e in L episode elements, we're basically going to call self.add value if value, and we're going to call it for title. Okay, but so now the other thing we need to consider is how we're saving it. So right, like this one creates a. Alright, so what we actually want here is we want a list of another dictionary. So I guess similarly, how we are adding it to this, we want to kind of pass in the dictionary we're adding it to. So let's once again all right. So once again, we will nothing to commit. Makes no sense. Oh, okay, it was unsaved. Alright, let's just close this out, don't save it, open it back up. Alright, so the other thing we need to do is we want to pull out this parsed value here. So we also want to say what do we call whatever, we can just call it D. Or I guess it's going to be the returned, or no. So it's going to be, yeah, whatever. It's just the dictionary we're saving it in. So here, this is D. I'm going to take this, and we're going to come down here, and I'm going to have that. All right. So now let's run this again. I don't really like the way this is turning out, but we can always refactor it again. All right, so let's just do Python, RSS, parser. Cool, so we're still passing all those other tests. We look at the diff. Same sort of thing as the other one, so let's just open up the log lines real quick and let's say git commit refactored RSS parser add if value to accept dictionary for saving parsed for parsed value as arg. Okay. Now we will git stash pop again. Now everything has been, thrown in that function that we can just kind of use it. So now, if we have this here, we have this episodes, and we say for E in the episode list, we're going to have the episode dictionary, and we're going to say self.add if value, and then here we'll pass in episode this time, and we'll pass in title, for this one we want to pull it from E, and we're going to pull it from just title. All right. And then at the end of doing all of those, we're going to say so the other thing we're going to do here the other thing we're going to do here is we're going to say self parse value episodes, right? Is that what it's under? Yeah, episodes is an empty list, and then we can just do self.d parse value episodes dot append the episode. Cool. So now if we run it, we'll still get the two, we should still get the two failures, but we should have a slightly different. All right, now we get 5 failures. Great. Probably because we have an empty episodes list. Yeah, that makes sense. So if it doesn't find anything, I guess we could say so here we could do if L episodes, if not, because this is a list, so if there's nothing in there, we could just return d parse value. Otherwise, we're going to add that episode list and then we're going to add them in. So maybe let's see if that works. Yeah, cool. So that got those other ones to pass again. And then we have, if we're looking, so we can't see the diff all that well. Title. All right, so if I set, so I need to go in here and I just need to set self.max diff to none. Okay, let's run this. All right, so now if we look at this one, this is the partial one. All right, we see that the episodes here has a title. This one has the title. Oh, so this, yeah, so basically, right, so it's basically indicating that's missing the MP3, but it looks like otherwise we're good. So I'm just going to turn this off because we know what we're doing here, so we don't need that. All right, so now we did the title, and then we basically need to do this. I don't know if I don't think I really care about doing this replace, especially because that's not what we have in there. So let's just basically add in, 4 more lines. We'll say description, hub data, length in seconds, MP3. And then this is just description, pub date. This is going to be, no, this is pub date. This here, we're going to do the format, and similarly, it's going to be S, iTunes, and duration. And this one is going to be enclosure. And then we're going to have the attribute key URL. Cool. And let's see. Hopefully they all pass. Nope, we still got one failure. And this is for the partial one. Okay, so that's interesting. So the full one passed, and so the partial one looks like it's probably adding in information. And the other thing to consider, by the way, is so we won't add it if we don't get anything here, right? So that's why those other ones pass. But what happens if we find an item, but it doesn't contain any episode information, or at least any that we care about, and we probably don't want to add that in. And we can add a test for that too. But first, so this one does pass, which is good. So we're doing something right. And the question is, why is this one failing? So we'll just say self.max diff equals none, so we can check that out. Let's run it again. Okay, here it's saying oh, because I did not remove all this other information. So we'll have the MP3, that makes sense. So I gotta remove these 3. Cool, and now they all pass. So let's get rid of this. Let's come back over here. Okay, so this one here, so let's go get log one line. I'll say git commit, git add, RSS parser, git commit -m, updated partial episode ft by removing from source data, and then git commit added episode parsing. All FTs pass. All right, now let's add in one more test. So we'll say test empty episode item, and align that properly. So if we look at this one versus this one, right? So here we have the item with this, everything else is the same. So I'm just going to copy all of this, or actually all of this here, get rid of this, come down, paste that in. Okay, so now we want an empty list of episodes is what we'll say. So it'll get much more complicated if we, so here we have just an empty item. Right, so let's say they added an episode, but they didn't actually fill it out. There's a mistake on their part there. Right, so we could obviously say, okay, we don't even want this episodes here, right? So we could at the end say, okay, just delete it. But you know, I don't know if that's necessary. If you have an empty episode list, some sort of error like that, that's fine. We can figure that out in the future. Basically, so it should fail now, so we'll say here, so let's run it. So we get that failure because it has an episode with an empty dictionary in it. What we want is we want it to just be empty. So let's do git commit SAM added RSS parser ft test empty episode item fails, and then we'll come in and get the pass. We'll just come in and say if not, or if the episode, so if any information got put into it, basically, we're going to add it to the list. So now let's run it again. Everything passes. Git commit updated RSS parser to not add empty episode dictionaries. Cool. All right. So should be empty now in that status. And that all looks good basically. So we finished up this parser. Now I guess the question we have is whether or not we want to refactor this in any way. I'm not going to worry right now about refactoring these information. So even though this tree is only used here and this parsed value is only used here, I'm going to leave those up there because it's kind of the incoming and the outgoing data. So I'm fine with that being in the constructor for now. This method here, right, is very generic. And so I obviously could add, you know, this uses the generic method, but this one doesn't really need to. It's operating on these class variables, right? So I could add a method, def add I could say like def parse what do we call in the functional test? Channel info, parse channel info. And then that would only need to take the key, the tree path, and the optional attribute key. and then that would simply call this and it would just pass along this other values, but it would add in, right, the ones that we want. Tree path, and then attribute key. And, all right, cool. Tree path, attribute key. All right. And then we could also add another one if we wanted. We could say parse episode, right? So it doesn't. So the parse episode is going to use this, and the parse channel info, right? So we could like abstract the channel info actually into like these calls into another method that would then call a wrapper around that. We could then, you know, add all this, but since we're not going to direct, I mean, I kind of actually do want to at least look at refactoring this. So I think that's what we're going to do next time. We're going to look at the refactoring options that we might have here if we want to kind of pull stuff out and make this function just overall smaller. Maybe figure out then also where these might have to live if these just become, you know, class members or something. We can look at that too. So I'm not going to yet mark this done because I think next time we're going to come in and we're going to look at the parsing, and then we'll also consider we'll consider refactoring, and then we will consider a fake that we might want if we want for this. And then once we do those two things, we'll be ready to basically write out a quick set of tests for the package episode feeds using the fake requester, possibly a fake parser, and then do the package. And we'll probably have actually like a unit test, and then we'll probably do so we can do a functional test. We don't want to do a fully functional test with this, but we might want to do a functional test. I don't know if, I don't think we need to do it with the parser. I think as long as the fakes are there, I think we should be fine, but we'll look at that. And then we'll have this completed. So we'll kind of think of the next like 3 episodes, maybe a refactor, a fake, and then we'll see if we can do it in the feed parser in 1 episode. That might be 2, so that's kind of the next 4, which will put us around 20. At that point, then we'll have everything, we'll have all the information, and we'll basically be able to we'll have all this, we'll be able to basically wire up this full connection and kind of code the thing that will start finding like new episodes and stuff. So so next time we will look at the refactoring. So until then, see you.